Christian, do you mean Catholic? Well, let's talk about this right here. Those two words are actually supposed to be synonyms of each other. So the term Christian first appears in the Bible. For example, in Antioch, or in the book of Acts, it says, Antioch is where the believers were first called Christians. Antioch will come important in a moment. And then also in one of Peter's epistles, he writes, if you suffer to be a Christian. So in other words, the term Christian was in use before the New Testament writings were completed. Now, the term Catholic, despite what some try to say, does not appear anywhere in the Bible at all whatsoever. Some people try to say Catholicos is the Catholic Church in the Bible, but Catholicos actually just means all throughout. So usually when you see Catholicos, it means all throughout the land or something like that, but has no reference to the actual church itself. The first actual use of the term Catholic, or Catholicos, appears in Ignatius of Antioch, so there's the word Antioch in, letter to the Smyraneans written around 110 AD. Now, hypothesis. Ignatius wanted to use a different term. Now, he may not have been trying to name a new name for Christianity, but we'll get into why he may have adopted a new name. Anyhow, Ignatius of Antioch, he wrote in the Smyraneans, wherever you find Jesus Christ, there you will find the Catholic Church, or the Universal Church. Now, you could sit there and get into linguistics and semantics and all sorts of things and argue that Ignatius of Antioch was just meaning the entire body of Christ, hence universal, and it should be translated as Universal Church and not translated as Catholic, with Catholic being an entirely different thing. But that's a matter of arguing semantics, linguistics, what Ignatius of Antioch actually meant. Regardless, one hypothesis as to why Ignatius of Antioch may have chosen to call it Catholic instead of Christian is because of the cult of Serapis. The cult of Serapis was around in Alexander the Great's time, and they were called the Bishops of Christ because they served Serapis Christos. Now, Serapis was a god created by the government to placate people by giving them a Christ-like or Messiah-like figure. So Serapis was called Serapis Christos or Serapis Christ, and the followers of Serapis were called the Bishops of Christ during Alexander the Great's time. So whenever they are first called Christians at Antioch, the followers of Christ, they may have been calling them Christians as in they were confusing them with followers of Serapis Christ instead of followers of Jesus Christ. Now, the cult of Serapis was big in Antioch, which is where Ignatius did most of his ministerial work. So therefore, it is very plausible that Ignatius of Antioch started calling it the Catholic Church to differentiate the followers of Jesus from the followers of Serapis. Now, here's another little sidebar here for you. The Caesar's Messiah thing out there. The people who came up with the Caesar's Messiah thing conflate it with the Serapis, the cult of Serapis stuff, and try to make it sound like it happened after Jesus came. But the cult of Serapis was already here 300 years at least before Jesus walked on the earth. But anyhow, the term Catholic and Christian are supposed to be synonyms of each other, not two entirely separate things. Now, another side note for you, when it comes to Protestantism, you're called a Protestant because you are a protest. You are in protest. You are protesting the Pope in Rome. You are actually Roman Catholic yourself. You're just protesting the papacy. That's the way it started anyhow. Now, I know a lot of Protestants go, oh, no, that can't. But in actuality, that's why you're called a Protestant, because you are a protester. You are protesting the papacy, calling for reform in the Roman Catholic Church so that we can all go back to being one big happy family again. So in reality, the two terms are synonyms. I understand you want to say, oh, the Roman Catholics are the Catholics, the Orthodox are the Orthodox, and the Protestants are the Protestants. In reality, we're all Catholic under the original coining that Ignatius of Antioch used.